Has this whole experience changed you in any way, your perspective?
It changes you. It changes you, and I think the fundamental shift happened in 2012, 2013, where I was sailing without any pressure of racing and all that. So, like I say, you have to get away from the world to understand what the world is. And by the second month or so, you start noticing these, changes, clarity in thought, the freedom that you experience. And the biggest freedom that you experience is the realization that you don't have to wonder what the other guy is thinking about me. You realize that a lot of things that happen on land is a mass hallucination, and people are giving value to things just because of their faith in that. These things. Or there is no guilt and morality when you're alone. So there is a freedom from so-called committing sin. And when that freedom sets in, you start investigating the nature of God even further, and you got a lot of time to do that. So you come to a certain conclusion. A month later, you change your conclusion, and a month later, you got a third conclusion. So it's interesting how everything changes at sea.
So what's the final
conclusion? Have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I have.
Huh? Yeah. Final conclusion is 42.
Now that you've got time on your hands, do you intend to pick up that guitar training which you started in 2004?
No. And I don't have time in hand.
What are your other interests basically?
I read a lot. A lot. And then I used to cycle, swim, sail, fly.
What do you read?
Everything.
Nothing in particular.
If you ask me who's my favorite, Marquez is my favorite. And I used to read 100 Years of Solitude almost every year, at least once a year. Other than that, I've read a lot of people. Neruda's memoirs, and then I visited his home in Santiago. Then I read Nelson Mandela and visited his cell where he was incarcerated for 18-20 years. Then I found the place where Marquez wrote Love in the Time of Cholera, and I wanted to go in, but they said it's rented out to somebody, and this was in Barcelona. And I've read Toynbee's Study of History, Nehru's Discovery of India when I was in 10th standard, Tolstoy's Anna Karenina when I was in 10th. Because 10th syllabus is really terrible. Gorky, Chekhov, so on and so forth.
Just the other day, we had written a story about how Anganwadis were.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I think things are looking up for the.
No, that's really good. For example, as a kid when I was growing up, we had a story of the Swiss Family Robinson or something like that, and they used to be very foreign and a different world. What really fired my imagination was our own guys, Trishna, going around the world. So I think if the government puts our own stories like these 6 women who are going around the world, Captain Donde, or Trishna, or we've got Tarangini and Sudarshini going around the world, visiting all these places. Maybe it'll be easier for our kids to connect with such stories and get inspired.
Oh, also your obsession with popcorn. If you could elaborate on that.
So, food has a psychological impact also.
Yeah.
And when you make popcorn in the boat, the smell fills the boat, and the world is a nice place now. Yeah. So, popcorn makes things beautiful.
No, so I am someone who, if I get my canvas wet, I that would ruin my day.
Oh
So
God.
how did you manage to?
For me, everything used to be wet.
Uh-huh.
So the bunk where I sleep is dripping wet. My sleeping bag, you can, squeeze out water. I used to have water leaking from a hatch right above my head. And you just live in it, that's all. I used to sleep with a raincoat.
Uh-huh.
And over the raincoat, I used to put my sleeping bag.